If you can see the number of Spotify users that I pull in monthly, you'll know that I'm somewhat of an expert on keeping musical secrets. But when it comes to the people's key, I've sat on these secrets too long, and it's time to finally reveal them to the masses, alright? Your first question may be, if you've never seen me before, what is the people's key? The people's key is the key of G major, alright? Ever since guitar was invented, the people have spoken, the G major is the key that we want to associate with. And after spilling some of these secrets, maybe you will be inclined to agree and pass it down to future generations of people. Pass it on, pass it down, and pass it on. Combine those words into one word, because that is the will of the people. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the chords in the key of G. G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor. We could even talk about F sharp, minor 7 flat 5, and G. All right, so those are the 7 chords of the people. And the beautiful thing about this, which you probably have seen in other songs, there's actually a much easier way to play all those chords, right? If we just go through here, usually that B minor is a little tricky, right? B minor is, it trips, the people stumble over B minor when they first start out. So, what the people devise, again, this isn't me coming up with this stuff. This is what the people came up with. What they devised was this mechanism where you just keep your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B string the entire time. You can also add your pinky to the 3rd fret of the high E string and do the exact same thing and play all the chords, all right? So before we do that, we're gonna do a quick just run through of where the root notes are for all these chords. The notes in the key of G are G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, then G again. All right, so we can play all these in what we're thinking of as an open position. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. So you notice we're going lower once we get to the E, and there's a reason for that, which we're going to get to in just a second. But 3rd fret on the E string is G, open A, 2, 3 is A, B, C, open B. Then we're going to go back down to E, get the F sharp 2nd fret. So 3 E, open 2, 3, open E, 2, 3. Okay? Now, those are going to be our root notes for all the chords that we're going to play, or a version of each chord that we're going to play in the key. All right? So we start with the G major chord. We're going to do it like that. I'm just going to keep my ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B string the entire time. All right? So when I play an A minor, I'm going to play actually like this. Okay? Now, I usually play A minor like this, open A, 2D, 2G, 1B, but we're locking this guy down. So now technically we get what is called an A suspended chord, but this is just a secret in the people's key, right? Now with B, you're just gonna take your pointer finger and move it to the B on the A string, 2nd fret. So now we have 2A, open D, 2G, and 3B. Okay, so this is, I think, like a much easier and sometimes more interesting way to play a B minor chord that is easier to get to than a traditional B minor triad, right? B minor, or sounds pretty cool, right? So G, A, B, C. Okay. Now again, sometimes technically these chords will have different names. Like this right here. It's just a G chord with your middle finger and your pointer finger down on the string, so 3A and 2D, open G, 3B. It's technically called a C add 9 chord, but you can just think of it as the C chord in this version of the chords in the key of G. Then we've got D, you can make it regular D major, or you can keep your high E string open to make it sussy. That's a new term. Make it sussy. You know what I mean? After coining a new term, it's probably a great time to say this video is sponsored by Elixir strings. I just put some new Elixir phosphor bronze strings on this bad boy on the Taylor 614, and there is no better feeling for the people than the feeling of great new Elixir strings. I love Elixir strings. I've been using them for way longer since they sponsored videos of mine. So definitely check out that link in the description. Get yourself Elixir strings and bend to the will of the people. Alright, so there's your D major chord. E, right? Remember we said E is when we played through that chord scale there. We're just gonna go open E and then add an E minor chord, 2A and 2D, and then still keep your ring finger there. Again, call this E minor 7, whatever. For the F sharp, we're gonna cheat a little bit and do an F sharp root over a D major chord. D slash F sharp, something like that. Have you ever seen that chord before, right? 2 E, open A, open D, 2 G, 3 D. Okay, so we have G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Okay? Now there's a ton of songs. There's a Green Day song comes to mind. Wonderwall comes to mind just using these variations. That's one of the reasons that this is the key of the people, and these are the secrets therein. I personally like having this D, the 3rd fret on the B string, be the highest note in the chord, right? You might be inclined to put your pinky on the 3rd fret of the high E string, and here's the same thing just with the high E string on top. String on top. The reason that you might want to do this, or even think about it, is because if you're singing along with the song, sometimes you don't always want the root note to be the note on top, because we kind of pick that note out a little bit more than the rest of the notes in a chord because it's sitting on top, so it's easier to just kind of hear. And if you're singing a song in the key of G, odds are you're probably singing a G note, and maybe your voice is going to sound better on top of certain chords within there. But feel free to just be creative with it. Use it. Don't let me be the guy being like, oh, you got your pinky on the high E string. Forget that. That's stupid. So that's the basis of chords that you can just start working on in this key. And you can kind of use these same shapes with the capo. Like if you wanted to play in the key of A, put the capo on the 2nd fret. A is 2 notes higher than G. G, G sharp, A. Put the capo on the 2nd fret, and then use all those same chord shapes, all right? Another reason that this is the people's key is because E minor pentatonic, potentially the first scale that you've ever learned on a guitar, open 3, open 2, open 2, open 2, open 3, open 3, works really well over any of these chords. This is the minor pentatonic scale that goes with the key of G. Relative minor would be another term for that. So what we're going to focus on, just using those notes, is just the A, D, and G strings, open 2, open 2, open 2. The reason we're going to kind of hone in on those is because, like you saw before, we can anchor our ring finger on there, and then we can play around with these strings in the middle and do hammer-ons and pull-offs. For instance, we can just play a G major chord. And it sounds like I'm playing a lot of different things, but I'm really just kind of exploring those strings within the chord. Any of these chords are fair game. Right, and that's just mindless noodling, and it sounds like, you know, I'm kind of playing a set at the hippie community center between the breakfast and lunch shift, you know? And that's just not even thinking about it, right? So, again, you can add any of these really easy E minor pentatonic notes to it, right? Now, another really, really cool thing that I would encourage you to explore is a slight retuning of the guitar, all right? The cool thing about a G major chord, it's really the easiest major chord you can play on a guitar because you already have the D, G, and B strings open, right? So that's the G major chord. The thing is, just like we talked about with these chords, sometimes that helps to stop on the B string because once you get that E string in there, then, you know, you're getting, even though E is a note in the key of G, maybe it's ringing out a little bit too much, but with just a simple flick of the wrist, you can turn this E into a D, right? Best way to do this, you don't even need a tuner. You can just go to the B string, 3rd fret on the B string, like I said, where we anchored all those chords before. It's a D note. A D note is really a note that has a lot of importance in the key of G as the fifth note, G, A, B, C, D. If you follow a lot of my videos or follow me on Patreon, we talk a lot about the relationship between the root note and its fifth note, the dominant chord, the dominant note in that key. They really have like a really important synergy, a really great relationship. Just like I have a really important relationship with the 10 people that follow me on Spotify. Synergy is amazing. We are as one together. It's like it's not even my music, it's our music. You know what I'm saying? So let's just turn that high E string into this note. So just use this as a reference. There we go, all tuned up, okay? Now, you could do the same thing we did with these open chords. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. And then now that there's a D on top of all of this, it kind of rings out a little bit differently. But what I want to do, I actually want to go a little further down the neck to play a lot of these same chords, but with a G major triad on top of all of them, right? Because now we have the G string, the B string, and the D string kind of in order, right? So this right here is our new triad. What we're gonna do is we're gonna see how that sounds on top of every single main power chord in this key, right? So let's start with a G power chord. It's just the 3rd fret on the E string. Pointer finger, 3 E, and then you can make it a power chord by grabbing the 5th fret of the A string, and then grabbing the octave with your pinky. This is optional, by the way. You can leave that D string open if you want, but I'm actually gonna put my pinky on the 5th fret there. So this is a G, it's 5th, and another G, and then I'm getting that open. And then I'm going higher on the neck through those same notes in the key of G. So if we were just to go in a linear fashion down the string, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp would be here to G. Again, the formula to do that is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So start on a note. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Again, that F sharp, technically we'd have a flat 5 in there, but I don't want to get too far into that. I just want to use this as an opportunity to make something kind of pretty in this key. Let's focus on just the first 4 notes. G, A, B, C. 3, 5, 7, 8. Let's start here and just do some kind of cool strumming thing. So just by adding that high D to everything, it sounds really cool. We could actually go a little further into the neck and maybe start rooting some of these chords on the A string, right? So instead of going all the way up like this, let's maybe do like a 3 notes per string style, where we've got 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7, G, A, B, C, D, E, and then we can go like. And again, having that open triad, that open G major chord on top of any of the other chords is going to sound, I think, really cool. It just gives like a totally different vibe to the entire key when it was really just a simple twist of fate. A twist of the high E string tuner that brought us to that. So again, these are things that you could do in any key with the capo, but again, the people don't always have a capo on them. You know what I'm saying? The people have spoken, and it's the key of G, and it will always be the key of G so long as the people's voice is heard, and I will always be a conduit for the will of the people. So thank you to Elixir Strings for sponsoring the video. Get some from that link in the description. Again, rocking the Taylor 614. If you guys have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website. I'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks a lot.